Hello and welcome everybody to the first and episode, and maybe only episode of Blind Pick here. My name is Shibby. I'm joined by two fabulous content creators, two individuals that bleed and represent their teams to, they wear it on their sleeve, right? That's literally what it is. I've got Cloud Sidkey to my right, or your left if you're watching here, but it's to my right. Shopify Rebellion fan, great interviewer, the new age, in my opinion, right? He's been grinding it out since for a while now. I've been very impressed with all of his interviews. He grinded out during MSI. His schedule is insane, and he's reaping the rewards. And on to my left, I think you guys know him. If you watch TikTok, you should know who he is. If you go on Twitter, if you think about 100 Thieves, he's definitely one of the names that should show up here. I've got Mr. David Shynock. No fancy name, no fancy Dizzy Dwarf, nothing like that. It's David Shynock, 100 Thieves fan, creator, talks about the LCS, talks about esports, talks about Call of Duty League. I mean, he's got it all. He just recently did an interview with Gen G's owner, Arnold. If you guys haven't seen that, I would highly suggest you guys check it out. It was really, really cool. If you want to know the, financials about esports, what the Korean scene thinks, what the top team in the world, the best team in the world thinks right now and their owner, I would go check that out. Gentlemen, how are you? Cloud, let's start with you. How's it going? How's today? How was the week? It's Thursday.
Couldn't be better. Just waiting till Saturday so we can make it into playoffs.
Can make it into playoffs. Wow. Bold words from the beginning. And David, how are you?
Good. I just like to speak on things I actually know about. So that's why I'm here.
And so the premise of this show, for anybody that's tuning in, the reason we made a Twitter post yesterday, gained a little bit of traction, is essentially there's not enough hype about the playoffs match that's coming up between Shopify Rebellion and 100 Thieves. I have had the pleasure of working with both of these guys. I've known these guys for a while now. I said, hey, you want to come on? Talk about these teams, talk some shit about your teams. And, I want to hear it. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I think it's probably the second best match of the LCS season, the second most hype in my opinion. Cloud9 Team Liquid, I think it lived up last week, but I genuinely think both of these teams fighting for potentially the final playoff spot is a lot more alluring than anything else on the board. David, let's start with you. Do you agree with that? Do you think there's not enough coverage around this match?
Not enough coverage, absolutely. Would I put it as second most hype? I mean, I think that's kind of overvaluing their side of things. There's only so much hype you can give for a 2-0, especially whenever, assumedly Cloud9 and FlyQuest will go 2-1 the day after, and that will actually have playoff implications because after we win our first game, they're out and it's irrelevant. But
Yeah. Yep. Cloud? Well, I mean, come on. Coverage, match of the week, match of the season, match of the year, maybe? What is this to you?
To us, it's just another game. So ever since we got Boogie, we're just, crushing it. And unfortunately, they had to make a sub too. They had to downgrade in their AD carry, and they don't even have their coach. So it's beating down on a dead horse. I guess they didn't realize that, their support was the problem, not the AD carry, but it's okay. I mean, it's not like their coach cares.
Oh, heavy words. Yeah, so both of the teams are fighting for the final playoff spot. It's my assumption that Shopify Rebellion need to go 2-0 on that day to qualify for the playoffs. If 100 Thieves win one game, but they lose, if they go 1-2 for whatever reason, then I believe Shopify Rebellion are out. And we talked about media coverage a little bit. It's been the hot button topic this week. David, you've already been chirping about it. I want to answer, and I want to go off to the first question. Which team for both 100 Thieves and Shopify Rebellion gets less media coverage? Now, we already know about the more popular teams, Cloud9. I mean, I feel like Dignitas has gotten a little bit more media coverage because all the name value players, Team Liquid, of course. David, I'm going to start with you because I know you've already got a lot of questions and you've got a lot of answers. You've got a lot of opinions on this matter. Does your team get enough media coverage for what they've done and what they've been doing these past years and this past split and this past season in the LCS?
If we're going years, the answer is obviously no. But I'm going to be fair to Cloud and just keep it to this year alone, this split. I won't even go back to spring. They get less volume of coverage. Total minutes, Shopify has talked about way less than 100 Thieves. Understandably, they're lower in the rankings. Yeah, this split. You guys have been talked about less than 100 Thieves. 100%.
Definitely not. When we were going on our like 0-4 streak, people were like enjoying to talk about how like bad we look, and it felt like 100 Thieves. They were like 1-1. No one was really saying anything. They were just like, oh yeah, Quid's playing Ezreal mid. It feels like if you're not super bad or super good, no one's talking about you.
I felt like I saw a lot of people chiming in on the Zeri all 3 picks in our loss to, I think it was not Dignitas, but our loss to FlyQuest. He was playing Zeri all 3 games. People were wondering where like the fall off was, but like in reality, we should be talked about way more. So proportionally, when we're talking about like the amount of time that Shopify should be discussed, yeah, I think you're fine at the end of the day, given where you're at. For 100 Thieves, we have the reigning MVP. We got a team that is, in theory, 1 slot off of making Worlds. And if they cause a singular upset over FlyQuest, all of a sudden, they're in Worlds. Yeah, it's a disservice to us and our fan base how little we're talked about, let alone the prestige that this organization has had over the last 5 years. But again, I will not bring that up.
That's a
You
double-edged
win that
sword.
series, you don't make it to Worlds. If you're in the upper bracket, you will, but not the lower bracket. You have to win 2.
Oh, I'm saying we beat them in the lower bracket. My plan is we are getting past this weekend is going to be fairly easy. We will face off against Dignitas in the first round, beat them, lose to Team Liquid, and then beat FlyQuest in the losers bracket because TL will pick us over FlyQuest whenever FlyQuest beats NRG.
I'm going to say this, David. That is a double-edged sword for 100 Thieves that you want, because I feel like they actually haven't gotten enough criticism from their performance from spring, their regular season performance. I think a lot of people had their doubts when we swapped to best of 3s. I think it's funny that you want all the smoke, but I will also equally say that the fact that Shopify Rebellion had a first team all-pro AD carry, and now they were in threaten of like going winless. I was messaging Cloud. I was just getting like, are you guys going to go winless? What's going to happen? I was making videos on it. I mean, it's just going to fall into our next topic, which is the first team all-pro AD carry of spring and the LCS spring MVP. Which player has had the biggest fall off? Cloud, I'm going to throw this to you. Why has Quid had the bigger fall off? Let me know why.
Because he went from a higher place to arguably the same spot. So, B-Boy, he still looks pretty good. He put Masu in the dumpster, Masu and Busio. So obviously with the bot lane, you have to look at the support as well. It's a little hard, but I would say he's been the shining light before Boogie came, even when we were losing all our games. And he still kind of looks like, a top 3 AD carry. You could argue that he's 4th behind Jan, Masu, and what's his name? The Berserker. I would argue his 3rd, but regardless, when you look at Quid, he's definitely not top 3, right? Maybe you could I think he's a clear 4th, but at the end of the day, he had a bigger fall off. So it's just by function of where he was and where he is. It's math, man.
Did he deserve MVP in spring?
No.
Who did?
Did Quid deserve MVP and did
Jojo, you're on crack. I would, if you said inspired, I would completely understand.
I'm gonna say I said inspired. You can't argue it though. You can't argue with me. I'm the host. I was gonna say inspired deserved it, but Sidki, tell me why he didn't deserve. Tell me there's a little. There's more to that. You got more to unpack on that. I want to know why Quid didn't deserve MVP.
Quid was playing phenomenally. He was playing out of his mind. Probably the best performance from mid laner that we've seen in a very long time. But he had someone set all those pins up, or most of the pins that he was knocking down. He had his top laner was getting solo kill after solo kill. His jungler was playing and I argue, and a lot of junglers argue, he was the best jungler in LCS that split. And so he had the surrounding pieces to play to the performance that he was, especially in team fights. Then you look at what Jojo had. He had Vulcan, who couldn't engage for the life of him, who looked legitimately like not an LCS starter level. Blabber looks completely lost. What?
As if Ayla could, but sure.
Okay, that is a strong point. Blabber was not it. Blabber was not nearly as good as River. Fudge isn't even in the LCS right now. Berserker, it was not Berserker meta. Good point. All right. Still, Jojo had less support, and Jojo carried them to 3rd. He was doing everything for that team. I still am traumatized by that one game where he got 3 MVP level plays on Nico to completely save the game. against Shopify, and that's the reason NRG made it to playoffs. That's the reason we didn't make it to playoffs is because JoJo. So maybe
Let me
I'm a
ask
little
you this.
biased, but I do think.
MVP is determined over what? Every game of the regular season?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many
Have you
down
watched
games do you
all his
how
other-
many Yeah, how many down games do you remember from Quid? How many
He had
games
two.
do you
Oh,
remember
Quid.
where you look at and say, yeah, this guy was not playing well at all during spring?
Maybe their
You've already
series
taken
against
too long. You've already taken too
Yeah,
long.
Team
no,
Liquid?
He played very well.
Jojo Pune, there's at least 3 moments that you can think, what the
There are
hell
2
is
games.
this guy?
There are 2 games.
And
that he
that's
didn't-
more than Quid. Quid had none with all the elevated expectations. You want
with
to
better teammates. It is so much easier to play better when you have better teammates.
First and foremost, yes, they were performing better, but Cloud9 was still performing arguably at the same level in terms of the overall team relative to 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves was just more a unit than C9 was.
4-game
top
lose
of-
streak into a 3-game lose streak. That's Cloud9 playing at their level.
Yeah. Their biggest problem was that they lacked team cohesion coming into this year. They lack team cohesion still now. Nothing's changed. Like Cloud9's
This
the
is
same.
rewriting history. Cloud9 came in. They went 3-0. Everyone was talking about how they're de facto the winners. They're a super team. No one's gonna touch this team.
Yeah. I'm not. The first 3 games, fine. But we're talking about an entire season.
an entire season of best of ones. An entire season of best of ones, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm just going
at the end of, I agree. It's crappy that that's the case, but at the end of the day, you were judging 14? Yeah, 14 regular season games. That's all we have to judge. JoJo had a much lower floor than Quid. Quid had an elevated floor. I will give you that JoJo Pune's hires were higher than Quid. JoJo Pune's pop-off moments were better than Quid's, but an MVP sustains it and never falls off. Is consistently the person that, as you're saying, somebody else is knocking him up or setting the pins up for him, but he's knocking them down. By your logic, an ADC would never get MVP ever because they're never setting up their own plays. Sure, they're closing out the kills. Sure, they're closing out the moments, but does that really mean anything if they're not the ones being in the position to make the plays?
Have you seen Danny? Danny set himself up a lot.
Sometimes, but not all that often. There's cases where they don't. Double Lift, for example, never really. I mean, there were times where he set up his own plays, but a majority of the time, it's people setting him up for them. That's the nature of being an ADC. You need people to set up plays around you. And Quid's playing champions where, yes, there were times where he was setting himself up. Might I remind you, every single Talia game that he played in spring. Every single one. But then there's other games where he's just knocking them down.
Okay, David. Okay, we let Cloud speak. David, why do you think the first team All-Pro 80 carry of spring, B-Boy, has had a bigger fall-off? The dude didn't even make playoffs in spring.
He didn't. I'll be honest. It was Quid has had the bigger fall-off because he didn't even deserve first All-Pro. He deserved third.
Who was your first team and second team All-Pro 80 carries then, if you don't mind me asking? I believe you had a vote.
I do not remember my ballot at all right now for some reason. But B-Boy
it's okay.
B-Boy wasn't even, I think he was consideration for third for me. But I couldn't put him up at first because I didn't feel like outside of laning phase it transitioned all that well. And in the same vein that if he was going to be up there, I kind of had to put Tactical up there because I think Tactical had some really good laning phases. Same with FBI. Whereas like I think FBI might have made my list because FBI was getting ridiculous leads in lane. And in the same vein, his team was falling apart behind him, but it felt like the FBI was doing more and just getting more screwed by his team than B-Boy, who I felt like got caught out 1 or 2 more times. But either way, like at the end of the day, I see B-Boy around the same status as where he was in spring. Everybody else has gotten better and Quid fell off a little bit more. So I'll agree with this point. I can't really fight it all that much other than just saying that, yeah, I don't think people should have that high of expectation. I think it was just media bias towards B-Boy getting it.
It was the pros that were voting B-Boy, not media.
No, I saw LCS broadcast was almost unilaterally B-Boy, weren't they?
I don't remember. We have to go check.
Maybe either way, there was.
I remember the pros were the ones putting him first.
Okay, then yeah. Well, pros. That's a whole other can of worms that I think we can all talk about the difference between scrims of what you see on stage. But
that is true. That is true. I mean, I guess the crux of the argument, David, is it's harder to fall off if the pedestal wasn't that high to begin with, which I don't actually think. I mean, first team All Pro. I've always valued All Pros a little bit more when it comes to other traditional sports, right? Obviously, you have like football is my main sport that I watch. All Pros versus Pro Balls are very different, right? All Pros are pretty much always voted by like a much harder criteria and stuff like that. And I think for the LCS, yeah, first team All Pro AD carry for an AD carry that didn't make playoffs, I think it's just it was wild to me. Even when he like you said, the laning phase was really good, but I just like I couldn't see. I guess I mean, my eye test is bad, or I thought there were other AD carries that were performing a lot better.
I go back, watch him in team fights, man. That guy was crap.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think in team fights he was doing his job as an ADC. I 1000% agree.
But his winning stats this split ain't that great.
Yeah, he's at a pretty big fall off.
When you go 0-8 to start the season, yeah, I mean,
It's a team game.
It's not like they were all that much better in spring.
You were partially responsible. You were partially responsible. I think both your teams were better in spring. I think that's the unfortunate truth of all this.
But your position relative to the rest of the league is identical to where it was. It hasn't changed.
dude,
Regardless of where
we
your
were tied
record is at, we're talking about relative skill strength.
We were
Shopify's in
tied
the
for fourth at some point. We were never in a consideration for fourth, the split.
I just remember how you end, and it wasn't pretty. It's the same exact placing. You're just lucky that Immortals is still here.
Well, here's the thing: if Immortals win and we lose, we could be last. So
Good, they're not. Immortals is not beating Dig. There's no chance.
You say that
like
Shopify beat
no chance.
Shopify beat Dig. I'm going to transition us over. We talked about two players that have been with us through the split, that have been on the team. I want to talk about two players that are coming into this split. One's returning, and I guess both are returning to the LCS. I do want to talk about which team has the better substitute player. Now, Shopify do get a little bit of an advantage because Boogie has been in for 2 weeks, but damn if Tomo didn't look freaking so good this week. David, I'm going to start with you. Which team has the better sub, and why is it Tomo?
Well, first and foremost, let's point out why it's not Boogie.
Okay.
Comes in, this guy's supposed to be an AP master. Okay, come in, throw a little bit of volatility into things. No denying, you guys have been playing way better with Boogie in the roster. But guess what? He's still negative goal difference at 10, still negative XP difference at 10, negative CS difference at 10. He's not even power farming all that well on AP champions that he realistically should be power farming on to be useful in mid and late game. No. And then, what's this? What's that?
You haven't watched our games, clearly.
Not all that much, no.
Yeah, I can tell. He was getting B-Boy and like Insanity 3 kills free. Like he was just walking around on brand, not farming, getting kills everywhere around the map. And of course he's going to be down CS because you have a jungler that's just, power farming and getting nothing done across the map.
But is that what you're supposed to do on AP champions? Is getting other people ahead, or are you supposed to be the one that's getting ahead?
It works. He wins games.
It wins games for now, but you're not. It doesn't win enough games to get you to playoffs. No.
We shall see.
And then you look. Okay, so then you compare it. You look at Tomo coming in. Okay, what was the biggest criticism of 100 Thieves prior to him being subbed in?
Bot lane can't hang. Bot lane can't hang. Straight up.
Bot lane got their shit pushed in every single time. And all you wanted whenever he came in, dude, if you could just go even in lane and we get to team fights and an even gold state, we're fine. Granted, it's only 1 week, and I will give you that it's against Immortals, so this is a really bad sample size for me to use, and I get that. But we're talking plus 328 gold difference at 10, plus 173 experience difference at 10, plus 3.5 CSD difference at 10. It's night and day. Like, we actually have a lane that can somewhat win now, surprisingly, when all we need them to do is go even and let the rest of the map run wild. Yeah. It's not like he came in and he did exactly what we needed him to do. And sure, like
that finger flash top lane and then die because of it? That's what you needed him to do?
If your argument is that it's effective, is it not effective?
Okay, that's a very different argument.
Is it? It works.
Yes, of course it's different.
How?
Got the dub.
Regardless of whether it's the optimal way of doing it. You just said earlier that as long as it works, it works.
It worked despite that. What Boogie did was giving his teammates leads, and that's how we won our games. You didn't win your games by dying. You won by the other team throwing. Very different methods.
We won one game by throwing. You're going to tell me we won game 2 by throwing? You're going to look me dead.
No, you
Okay,
didn't.
so
You
don't
didn't.
say we
Yeah.
won our games by throwing. We won one. Yes, I will give you that. We caught them when they chucked it right in our lap. But in terms of Tomo, he went positive in lane,
I don't think you can
which is
ask
all we
much
wanted to
more.
do.
I don't think you can ask much more of a week one sub. But I also think the pressure of a jungler subbing in versus an AD carry is a little bit different. Cloud, can you tell me why Boogie, under harsh criticisms, under a role that is so integral to the early part of the game and to the success of so many teams, why has he performed better than Tomo?
Well, because Tomo hasn't performed. His big pop-off moments were Tactical absolutely running it down. Like, sure, he laned against Tactical, but that's not where the strength was. Tactical in the mid game was the one that was getting all the leads, all the farm, all the kills, and then throwing it in the late game. And that's exactly what happened. Tomo went a little bit ahead. When Tactical went to fight for Herald, 100 Thieves gave up like one kill. They got a lead. Tactical got not Tactical. I don't remember who got the kill. I think it was Mask. Mask got the
Yeah, I think
kill.
it was Mask.
Yeah. Regardless, he got a bunch of plays, got some XP. Tomo got ahead. It was a good like macro decision by 100 Thieves. Whatever. But when you look at Tomo and you look at the bot lanes that Bvoy and Zazel have been crushing, we just destroyed Masu and Busio. Right?
We're not talking about B-Boy and Zazel.
You're not
We're
going to tell
talking
me.
about, you were talking specifically about the roles that these players are coming into the roster to fill, not how they compare to their lane counterparts. At the
I
end of the day,
understand.
Boogie came in to try and fill a hole, which was Shopify needing some level of connectivity and proactivity as well, which I will give you that he filled. Unfortunately, just not good enough. Whereas Tomo has come in, filled that hole, and it has been good enough. Granted,
my point is that it won't be good enough because he's going against a much better bot lane.
Yes, we'll be fine.
You think he's better than Masu and Busio? Absolutely not.
We're facing B-Boy and Zazel. I'm not worried.
And we crushed Masu and Busio. What do you think? We're not going to be able to beat you guys?
No,
he's not going to stand
I
a
don't.
chance.
Because I think every team, especially come later in the season, plays to the level of their opponents, which means we're going to play down to your level, but we'll still be better.
Okay, but what about Boogie versus River Cloud? You've kind of shifted the conversation slightly. I see what you're doing, but I gotta put you back on track.
In my defense, he started off dissing Boogie. I started off dissing Tomo.
Fair. I need to see, but why Boogie? Why is Boogie going off right now?
Have you watched the games? Have you seen him? The game that he comes in, he's playing Brand. He's putting out insane amount of damage. He is proactive, like David said. He not only did he stabilize our early game so that we can actually get leads in top, mid, and bottom, he was like camping the NRG bot lane. He was camping the FlyQuest bottom lane. He was camping every bottom lane. The Dignitas bottom lane weren't even surviving. He was actively being proactive. Sure, he was going down a little bit in XP, but the influence he had on the map, and just so you know, he's a shot caller. He shot calls the mid to late game. That was one thing that they were very upfront about, was that the reason they are not losing games late like they did last split was Boogie just had better calls and he had improved on his shot calling, and that was giving them more of an edge. You look at the level that 100 Thieves went from the sub, and it went up a little bit, but against Immortals, you don't even know if it really counts because any other team would have finished that first game off. And then you look at the level we were before Boogie and after Boogie, it's like a completely different team. I don't think anyone can even deny that. We were getting completely destroyed.
No, okay, but here's the thing. We are at the point of the season where both of us have played all of the same opponents. The only people we have left is each other. So we can look at how we've performed against other teams and say, okay, is this going, how does this compare to one another? You actually can directly compare now. And the truth is, we have faced up better against the rest of the league than you guys have. And your one other positive match that you're going to point to was the 2-1 loss to FlyQuest. Do you know how we lost to FlyQuest?
2-1.
Same manner. With a bot lane that was getting blasted the entire time. So yes, we are in a better position to take you guys, just grading that off of the same opponents that we both all faced.
We didn't have the same. The argument isn't 100 Thieves versus Shopify. The argument is, was Boogie more like a better upgrade than Tomo? And when you look at pre-100 Thieves, pre-Tomo, and post-Tomo, the difference is good, but it's not as big as what Shopify... We were by far the worst team. We were not even academy level. And we completely leveled up. And so I have to give it to Boogie.
I will give it to you that you guys leveled up. but leveling up from shit to slightly less shit is still shit.
Is it not easier to start from rock bottom, Cloud? Is it not easier to look better when you've already...
Let me ask you this.
Question. That's not the question. The question is who had a bigger impact. It was Boogie, of course.
ADC naturally, you know what? Fine. I'll give you this. Jungler naturally will have a more impactful role in the team than an ADC will. But in terms of how this will end up playing out long term, I think you'll see our ceiling raise a lot more than yours does with Boogie in the roster.
I think you have a bigger problem than bot lane, but
I think
that's neither here nor there.
I think both of you guys have a question to answer here. I'm just going to go into our next topic. Both of your top laners seem to have some struggles with finding out who their father is. And right now, I need to know, out of which top laners, who's the dad? Where's the Maury camera? I need it going. Who is whom's father? I need to know. Sidki, I'm going to start with you because I asked David first. Last question. Is Bwipo Fake God's father?
I mean, Fake God solo killed him multiple times in that series.
Fair.
The other sniper got solo killed. So if we're going by solo kills only, we have a better record. Fake God has a better record. Now, do I think Fake God's a better top laner? No, I'm not even going to bother to make that argument. But in terms of this question, Bwipo, his son, would probably be Sniper.
Abusive uncle at best.
Abusive
right, I'll
uncle.
give it that much.
Abusive uncle at best. But the criticism for me, and the criticism that Bwipo had, if you guys checked out my interview, is that he said, hey, Fake God does pretty good. He doesn't really make mistakes early, mid. But when you start adding other people into the mix, when you start making it a team game, that's where your boy falls apart. And it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child. And I think the FlyQuest village has been raising Fake God. I'm going to be quite honest.
You know what? I'm glad you mentioned that. Do you know why I'm wearing this particular jersey?
Enlighten me.
This is?
Enlighten me.
Cloud, do you know who this is? Do you know who number 15 for the Florida Gators is, a retired number and for our football team? This is the college jersey of Tim Tebow. Okay? One of the greatest college football players to have ever played the game. Nobody can dispute that. Up there with names like Johnny Manziel as well. All-time great. Do you know what happened to him when he went to the pros?
He made the playoffs. I'm going to be real. He made the playoffs.
He beat the
Steelers. He beat the Steelers.
But he had one good game ever in his pro career. And he was able to get a playoff win despite all of his failures, but he was never good. Do you know who that sounds like? A merchant who is great in NACL. One of the best NACL top laners we have ever seen all time. I don't think there's any denying that Fake God has run that league for years, but he can't do shit at the pro level. He'll have one good series, one good game every now and then to somehow allow him to keep having a paycheck. But at the end of the day, he should be on the broadcast desk at best or getting his ass back in NACL where he can actually be relevant. So he can say he's a son, but if anything, he's a bastard son at best.
Okay, David, but I've got some criticisms for you and your boy, your kindred spirit, Sniper himself. Yeah. The solo kill extraordinaire, I had my doubts. I asked you this question prior to when we swapped to best of threes. I said, hey, what's going to happen to your team? What's going to happen to 100 Thieves top laner when they start adjusting to him, when they start figuring out this guy kind of just gets solo kills and doesn't really do much else on the map? I mean, you guys are in a very similar boat. You both lost to Bwipo. You both lost to FlyQuest, the village that is FlyQuest. Can you explain?
How smart were you your freshman year? Freshman year of college, how smart were you relative to your senior year of college?
I mean, I know I was probably not the brightest kid. I'm going to be real.
Okay. But hey, you know what? You had spunk, okay? You came in all starry-eyed. Life's going to be great, okay? Before you got, your ass kicked in sophomore year, got the 200 level classes, shit got a little bit harder. This dude, Sniper, okay? He comes in freshman year, bright-eyed, kills it, okay? 100 level classes, easy A's all the way through. No shit he's going to struggle at 200 level. That first little step up as people finally start to understand who he is, as he has to uncover a little bit more about himself. dig a little bit deeper, learn how to play with a team that's hopefully not crumbling around him as well, making his life a little bit harder. But you know what? He'll eventually get there. There's time on his side. So long as the organization doesn't go away, he's perfectly fine. Okay? I expect sophomore slumps. I don't expect people to be perfect all the way through. APA, okay? He had his slumps too. He didn't come out the gate as hot as Sniper did. It's kind of the inverse here to a certain extent. But look where he's at now. Okay? Give him a full year. Give him time. Give Sniper time to play better. Give him time to learn more matchups. And hopefully get a team around him a little bit as time goes on too. Life will be fine. I'm not worried at all.
You don't sound worried. And, honestly, I might have to give this one to David. I feel like Fake God does have a good series every now and then. When he was playing for Dig, he had one really good series. When he subbed in for 100 Thieves.
6 games.
Yeah.
He had 6 straight games and then was like the worst top laner to the point that even Freak was like, why is this guy in the LCS? Like, he won't run away from it. But he did have his 6 good games. And they were calling him MVP very early on. They're like, oh, he could be MVP. And then he was like, not even a performer.
Well, unfortunately, we won't find out.
That was the dumbest. Oh my God.
We won't find out which son is Bwippo or which child is Bwippo. Maybe he's got 2. Maybe they're half siblings for right now. But there is a dad of the LCS. There is a team that is the father of the LCS right now. And I need to understand what you guys think. How will you guys fare? Who has the better chance of beating the father of LCS right now, Team Liquid, the man smack dab in the middle, Captain Yapton America himself? David, you got to give it to me. Why does 100 Thieves have a better chance than Shopify Rebellion to potentially steal the crown away from the spring champions?
How many games has 100 Thieves taken off of Team Liquid this year?
You tell me. How many games have they taken off of Team Liquid this year? They've taken off 2, right?
How many
Okay.
has Shopify taken off of TL this year?
0.
0. No, 0. I feel like I know where you're going with this, but David, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire a little bit. Taking games off is fine and dandy, but you got to win the series. Winning the series is what matters.
Yeah. Let me rephrase. Who played Team Liquid the closest in losers bracket last playoffs in a best of 5 series?
Let me see who played them the closest. I could argue FlyQuest. Oh, in the losers bracket, you meant.
Upper bracket, yes. I will 100% agree. Team Liquid FlyQuest was the closest best of 5 that we saw all playoffs in the upper bracket finals. Or was that finals or first round? Either way.
First round, I believe, is what you want to, yeah.
Losers bracket, Team Liquid 3-0'd everybody but 2 teams. FlyQuest, who they met in the finals, and 100 Thieves. Which one played a closer series against Team Liquid? It definitely wasn't the person that was playing Annie mid the entire series.
I'm going to have to give it to 100 Thieves. I believe they did play Team Liquid the closest.
I'm not saying we're going to, and I will concede that Team Liquid is the best team in the league, and I expect them to win it all. But I'd rather go with the team that has actually stood a chance at bringing them down in the mud with us and actually has the hands to compete, because Impact's about to be MVP, and last time I checked, Fake God has no solo kills on him. But yet Sniper does.
But are solo kills enough to win the game?
Did you notice that his entire argument was surrounding last split 100 Thieves that looked a lot better than this split?
I was going to say...
Neither one of us stands a chance. If you're looking at this year, neither one of us stands a chance.
That wasn't the question.
Argument.
That wasn't the question.
Who's got the tools? Who's got the tools this season, David? Why?
We've got a blueprint that they have never been able to figure out.
Dude,
yeah, we're trying to get back
there. That Team Liquid is a very different Team Liquid than the Team Liquid that are playing post MSI.
Not really. They play very different. The Team Liquid that I'm seeing now is APA getting caught and Umpty not looking phenomenal, while Yawn and Impact look incredible. And that's
Yawn
the same.
And Core are playing better than last split as well.
I agree, but your way to beat them then is through mid jungle. Who has the better mid jungle out of the 2 of us?
Right now, us. This is not River's meta. River can't play these. River's not.
Whoa! So hold on. Boogie and Insanity this split are a better mid jungle duo than River and Quid?
Yes. Ever since Boogie
Elaborate.
came back,
Elaborate.
You have one
He's
Jin
bringing
game and
out-
it gets to your head. You have one Jin game and it gets to your head.
I'm not talking about the Jin game. I'm talking about the Lucian
It's
game.
the only
where
good
he's so-
game.
Because that's the only game you watched. It's not the only good game. Insanity has been playing way better. He's been playing so at very high level. He was
Again.
burning flashes mid lane.
Better goes to here. Quid's worse
And
is still
100 Thieves
here.
are here. No, he's not. Maybe you haven't been watching the games very closely, but Quid is not that carry MVP from last split. I know
yeah.
you still can think of those times, but we're not living in those times. We're talking about right now. If you asked me last split, I'd say absolutely you guys. We didn't even make it to playoffs. But this split, you're not even making playoffs. So I don't know what you're arguing about. Boogie looks better than River because it's Boogie's meta, not River's meta. River admitted to this in an interview that he did with me. He was like, yeah, these champions, like, people are banning my Vi, my Sejuani, because that's the champions that I can carry on this 100 Thieves team. I can't carry on these AP junglers, and we need Ayla, and then he stayed quiet. And guess what? Boogie can play these champions. And he is. And we had Insanity solo killed APA.
Champions for 2 more days. Or 2 more games. Sorry. Only 1 day.
Okay.
Good for you,
I see the vision. I see the vision. I understand where you're coming from, Cloud. David, I feel like you can't agree with this. I mean, regardless of what the games have told us in regards to the game score, the box score, I mean, Quid has still looked individually very good. Yes, you could maybe argue the jungle section, maybe River struggling, but it is a mid-jungle duo. And I'm going to be honest, Insanity off of his cheese picks looks absolutely garbage. Like, I'm sorry.
He solo killed APA on Corki. On Tristana. I'm sorry, on Tristana.
Yes.
He was burning flashes of the best mid laner, Jojo Pune. He burnt his flash twice, laning, just in laning, got a CS lead on him. Like, what more does this guy have to do?
Win a game.
He's got to win. He's got to
Your
win.
mid laner isn't doing that. Your mid laner isn't.
Fair enough.
He's not nearly as dominant in the lane as he was. His team fighting is still pretty good. I'll give him that much. But again, we're talking about mid jungle, and mid jungle are in the early game. That's when they're closest together. And guess what? We've been playing better. It's just there's no denying that.
I cannot get past an argument of we have been playing better, but record is worse.
Our record isn't. We're talking about Boogie. We're talking about since Boogie came.
We're
We have
talking
the same
full
exact
season.
No, we're not. He said which is the better mid jungle duo.
Yeah,
he said
I don't care
specifically
whether
said
he's.
Boogie. He didn't say Tomil. He specifically said Boogie. And guess what? We had the same record and looked better in that same span of time.
But what about your mid laner? Like, regardless of who he's had as his jungler, individually, I mean, like I said.
Now, yes.
No, he does not.
Ever since Boogie came back in, he's been looking better.
I will give you 2 weeks ago, I would have agreed with you. 2 weeks ago, I legitimately would have agreed.
I would have disagreed.
Quid was running it down.
2 weeks ago, we had Tomio. Come on, we had Tomio in the jungle.
Quid was sprinting it about 2-3 weeks ago.
Comparing Insanity versus Quid, like purely those two.
Yeah.
Then
the mid section.
That's not the question. That's not the question. That's the thing. We're talking about both.
I just asked about mid lane because Shibby shifted it to that point.
Yes.
So yes, I think right now Quid is playing better than Insanity, despite Insanity playing better earlier in the split. And then you combine that with the two.
Early in the
and I think we have a better, like, in addition to that, it took us, apologies for the dog, Jesus Christ.
It's okay.
It took us longer to figure out how to play in this meta. Because when we were trying to figure it out, we went through the gauntlet of TL, FlyQuest, Cloud9 all back to back to back. And we got demolished. So we were never quite able to figure all of our crap out. And now that we're finally on the other side of that, we can finally start to work on some of the basics, work on understanding how to play AP jungler comps, and go from there. To which you guys are the final step in the easy ladder to then get us into playoffs and start ramping up before we face Dig. And when we beat Dig this time around, relative to us losing to them last time, you will understand the difference. Don't you
What's your record right now?
2-4.
So you guys had a 3-game losing streak, right? Or was it 4?
We had a 3-series losing streak. We lost 0-2, 0-2 to TLC9, 2-1 to FlyQuest.
Honestly, you know what?
Wait, you guys lost to Dig.
Yeah, we lost 0-2 to Dig like early on in the season.
Oh, it was the second game of the season. Yeah, it was the second.
Yeah, we also 2-0'd NRG.
Okay, so 2-0, 0-2, and then okay.
Yeah, we had a pretty bad skid. for a while there. And the FlyQuest
Wait, then
series
you had
when it
4 games
started
in a row
turning.
that you lost. Because the first game you won,
Yeah.
and then you lost 4, and then won
Yeah,
1.
I'm talking about.
Dang, you
I'm
had a
just talking about the
longer.
big 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
I mean,
had a longer skid than you guys did, but we started all. The difference is we beat the opponents below us that we needed to beat when you guys didn't. That's ultimately what it comes down to. Dig was at the same level as us, and I've been saying that since the beginning of the split in terms of my individual power rankings. People might disagree with that, and we'll see how the rest of the season pans out. But for me, Dig and 100 Thieves were always right next to each other.
Yeah,
Just
you
because
guys
they're the
did the
antithesis of us.
energy. Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah,
That's the big difference. Yeah.
I think Dig had a lot of expectations too, coming in with their roster and kind of what's been happening. But shifting the conversation to expectations, shifting it to a more holistic view. Which team has not lived up to their expectations this split? Now, and you guys kind of talked about it a little bit with the player fall off and stuff like that. And I'm going to set the stage here because Shopify Rebellion looked like they had a lot of good things going for them. Spring split, B-Boy first team All-Pro. Oh, Insanity's picking up things like Zach, Scion mid. He's going crazy. This team's experimenting. Revan is a genius in, drafting and stuff like that. Oh, we have a new dominant NACL jungler coming in. Got to get him out. He's actually not that good for us. We've diagnosed the issue. We got to put Boogie back in. Are we going to look like the same team from spring that had all that momentum, that was beating the first place teams, the first place killer? That was Shopify Rebellion. 100 Thieves, on the other hand, a team that came into spring with zero expectations. I had them really bottom 2. I had them last place. A lot of people had them last place. David made a fantastic video after they ended up, I believe, 4th or 3rd in the regular season. Second. Sorry, 4th in overall spring playoffs after everything's all said and done. I believe it was 3rd, 4th. Made a fantastic video. They had high expectations coming in from spring to summer. They had went from 0 expectations to now, what is this team going to look like in best of 3? How is this team going to carry momentum? They didn't change any pieces. They're coming into summer split without any roster changes. They should be able to hit the ground running. Not necessarily what happened. Cloud, I'm going to give you this one first because I asked David last time. Which team has not lived up to their expectations overall this year?
Well, is the question this year or the split?
The split, I guess. Yeah, the split. Sorry. Yeah, which team has not lived up to expectations?
This year, I would definitely say Shopify. But the fact that it's this split, it has to be 100 Thieves because they were second in regular season, right? And now they're on the brink. They're not on the brink of not making it to playoffs. So
is that
bigger?
Isn't that disingenuous though? Like I get, by all means, I hyped up our regular season, and I'm going to play into the narrative. I'm a fan when it comes to that. But would you or would you not say I think 4th place was like fair expectation for us after spring?
Sure. Yeah. Even if you say 4th place.
Okay. And where are we at now?
4th place. About to not make playoffs.
4th place.
Wait, no. You can't be 4th. Dig are 4th, and they have a better score than you guys. So you guys are at least 5th.
I thought.
You guys are talk 5th. Yeah. You guys are 5th with NRG. You have the same record.
Then my mistake. We're 1 off of the placement that we were. You guys are exactly the same. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So just by definition, you guys are lower than expectation. If you were saying that they were 4th or 5th right now, we were 7th last split. We're still 7th. So
where do you think community expectations were? Because this is where this question is tough because you're dealing with where people thought they would be, and obviously my expectations are different than most other people's. I saw, other than Flowers, everybody was predicting a fall off from 100 Thieves in summer. Most people were predicting them to finish anywhere between 5th and 6th. Dignitas would get the bump up. NRG would potentially rebound a little bit more. But I don't know how to distinguish my bias in the situation for being I think Worlds for me was the expectation. Because I believe that we would continue to grow and develop. I didn't think the top 3 would just get that exponentially better spring over summer. So by that definition, I will agree. We are definitely not living up to expectations come spring. But if the question then is, if it's based on community expectations, we are technically, it's kind of a wash because you guys were projected by most people to be 7th, maybe 8th.
Actually, we had a lot of people putting us 8th.
Yeah,
people put more than 7s. We were 8th, so I guess technically we lived up more because we're up 1 right now.
Yeah. But it's tough because you don't know whether you're dealing with your own. Well, where were your expectations though for Shopify coming into this?
My expectations were we were 4th. We had a better. Yeah, I'll tell you why. We went to Korea. We boot camped with you guys and
Yeah.
with Cloud9,
Cloud9.
and we looked like the better team, the best team out of the three. Like that, if you ask anybody behind the scenes, when I asked them media day, when I heard
Okay.
privately from other people, we were just like, it was kind of embarrassing what was happening to Hunter Thieves, but now we know why. It was because they were trying to get Ayla to play a different role, and it was like they were struggling with that. And we were beating Cloud9. To this day, Cloud9 are like, yeah, they're actually very good practice partners. So that gave me a bump of expectations. Like, hey, we figured
Okay.
stuff out. We got that momentum. We have a bit newer jungler who's playing these AP carries, and it didn't. But that was just me. Other people put us eighth. Most people put Immortals up.
Okay, so that relative to our own expectations, then
Oh, Shopify
you've
all the
had
way.
okay.
Dude. Yeah.
That's because that's where
Abysmal. Yeah.
So I think we can both agree in terms of community perception, we're pretty much on par with each other. Because most people had us within like the same buckets. Like they had like you guys missing playoffs, and they had us like barely making playoffs, and that's right where we're all at right now. But in terms of our own individual expectations,
Your own
arguably
delusions.
had a bigger in terms of our own hopium supplies running out, you arguably had the bigger fall off, even if I had the same high expectations.
Supply is not running out, by the way. But yes, I agree with that.
You got about 2 days, and you can chuck that jersey right in the trash can with the other one.
Oof.
My team's staying in the LCS even if we lose. Yours is not. So.
Oh, big words. Big words. Big word. They might be staying in the LC. We don't know. Travis baited us with 100 Thieves. Like, the jersey stuff. They might be in. They might come. Well, we don't know. We can't confirm or deny things like that. We don't know.
He's gonna tell me to throw my jersey in the trash.
True.
That right there is an unedited 16-minute video. In the event that 100 Thieves does not stay in the LCS next year, I drop that immediately.
You heard it here? He's dropping it immediately. Are you dropping it as soon as the news drops about them? Like somebody officially from 100 Thieves confirms or denies? Or like, let's take this case, confirms.
When I get an official report, Deep, Travis, anybody, when I get an official report that we are out, that video goes live. And I'm not holding back. I did not hold back. As much as I laid into Immortals in my video coming out tomorrow, that is way worse. That right there will make sure that 100 Thieves never sends me anything ever again. Not that I would ever want it if they left the LCS.
Damn.
Well, I've heard it here. That's just how fans are. That's how we are. David comes from a football family. So that's just the way we are. That's just how it is, unfortunately.
Immortals? They're like one of the worst esports team, not League of Legends, esports teams ever.
Hey, Shanghai Dragons has a word with you. Shanghai Dragons has a word.
When your expectations are in the gutter, I don't like them leaving sucks, but it's kind of like, okay, fine at this point.
Thank goodness. It does not suck. I called for them to leave multiple times. I'm glad that they're leaving.
But for 100
I would be disappointed if they don't.
There is not a single organization that stood a chance coming into the LCS like 100 Thieves did. Their start out the gates was insane. And to throw all of that away, I'm gonna start rehashing the entire video right now if I don't shut my mouth.
Well, let's ease up. We don't know if that information's confirmed. We don't even know what's happening. Unfortunately, we're not as deeply connected as you guys would think. Oh, you have a question for me? Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
I'm not going to ask David because we know the answer. And I agree with David's answer. But who would you rather stay in the LCS, 100 or Dig? Oh, come on. It's not that close. One of them won and went to Worlds. The other one.
Hey, the other one's been the Worlds, technically.
Context. I'm going to drop some.
If you include the clutch Dignitas.
2014. Oh, come on.
I'm gonna.
Are we gonna say CLG is still in the
No.
league?
The Clutch Dignitas merger technically went through 2019 by the time that Clutch went to Worlds with the Vulcan roster. That went 06. It was like Vulcan, DeMonte. I forget who I think it was like Cody's. Was it Cody Sunday?
They haven't made a finals. Let's change it. Let's say that they haven't made a finals. Versus 3 back-to-back finals.
I'm trying to give them something to work with here.
You really shouldn't. It's not worth it.
So back to the question, who would I rather see in the LCS if I had to choose between Dig and 100 Thieves? I'm going to drop some knowledge, some lore for you guys. I have been an LCS fan for a very long time, a League fan, esports fan for a very long time. I was a fan of the original Dignitas rosters, the stuff that came out with Scara, I'm a Cutie Pie. One of my fondest memories is Scara in MLG Anaheim 2013, which was when the LCS was going on, but they were still hosting it in a circuit way. That Scara played AP Master Yi and at the time dropped the highest kill total ever seen in League of Legends professional history. It was like 18, 19 at the time, playing AP Master Yi. So I have a soft spot for Dignitas. Now, the Dignitas of then and the Dignitas of now, very, very different. I have highly criticized the way Dignitas has handled their rosters. I've highly criticized the way they handled the XU situation and who they've been taking. If it was up to me from an org perspective and looking at what the org has given back to the scene, how they've handled players and how, they've handled fans and interaction and all that stuff, I love Sylvex, and I think he's done a very good job on the media side of Dignitas. But if I'm going to have to say their contribution to the league and who I would like to see thrive, honestly, it's 100 Thieves. I think 100 Thieves is willing to spend buku bucks for rosters that are going to win LCS. The highly savant, I will say this, the highly savant move of bringing Abedage in, right? Acquiring like 4/5 of Golden Guardians, like that is Bobby Big Balls moves. Like, I'm just gonna be real.
I would love to say that is like 100 Thieves of current, but it's not.
No, it's not right now. I agree. I agree.
And that, like, if you're gonna base your decision off of who's done more lately, Dig and 100 Thieves are arguably in the same spot.
No, absolutely not. Dig are way worse. Look, you came into the year both having developmental rosters, right? At least Dignitas, we were like, what the hell? Why are they bringing in Dove? Oh, wait, nepotism, right? And then we go and we get rid of 4 players.
Sorry, I did not mean the LCS. I did not mean the LCS team. Okay. I meant purely as businesses.
Okay. So
as a business, 100 Thieves, the objective from John Robinson before he pieced out of 100 Thieves was everybody has to be break even in 2024. So they slashed all budgets and all money went away. So the thing that you're complimenting them on is not a thing and will never be a thing again until 100 Thieves brings up their revenue and can make more money to then be able to afford things. But we have seen no indication that that's going to be the case in terms of content. Who's put out more content?
Dig.
I think Dig's put out higher quality.
It's unfortunate that their name resembles assisted suicide companies, which prevent them from being able to actually, just type in Dignitas on YouTube. So like that kind of screws them. But besides that, there's no denying that like I have liked what Dig has done better in content since Sylvex took over than what 100 Thieves has done so far. Before Danny, who works with 100 Thieves, and I know she follows me on Twitter as well. Like, you're doing great now. I know she's only part-time with 100 Thieves. So it's like there's only so much that she can do in terms of putting out content, and it has been better. But you could plug, you could plug what Sylvex is doing in any org at this point.
If your competition is Sylvex, I'm unfortunately like that is like going against prime SKT. Like, I'm just gonna be real.
Like I would love, like, it would be an honor to challenge him on that. Get me an editor, just let me direct shit and like let me come up with like the ideas and like instigate content. Let somebody else edit it and put it all out in an entertaining way. I feel like I could keep up with Sylvex on that front.
Arguably, Sylvex is a good League of Legends content creator, way better than I am, but I don't think he's a good League of Legends team content creator. And you can see it in the views. I'm just statistically speaking, he's a lot better at one than the other.
I will say though, they like Dignitas has an uphill battle because of the whole like search engine nonsense and what they like. That is tough. Dude. The fact that their videos are also getting views in spite of that is a testament. And I will say this. I love Retro. Retro has been done a really good job with Shopify since they've acquired him. I mean, his content is amazing as well in the direction. I think having like the people that have been making content around and like all this stuff, like Retro was a part of Sylvex at one point. Like that, like what I'm not surprised that both of their guys' content are doing good. And Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm very nostalgic when it comes to these kind of guys, and like you mentioned, obviously the financials aren't there for 100 Thieves anymore, clearly, but also to the way they've been handling their roster, though. I don't think, like, you have a developmental roster, and if your argument is, yeah, we bring Spica in, we replace our developmental piece, XU, who we brought in when we said we were going to develop him alongside these pieces. We have Rich, who was like the faker of HOTS, and that's the reason. Obviously, that's probably not the only reason we pick him up, but that's the thing you market. You drop him, right? He was pretty solid. Then you pick up these random pieces. It just feels like Dig never has a direction. This is the first time in a very long time this Dignitas organization has actually tried to go for something. And I'm going to say it's a failure right now. Like, if they are failing, like the amount of money they probably spent, the expected wins that they were supposed to get, the only thing they've been hitting on is the content side. Whereas at least with 100 Thieves, in spite of having a developmental roster for spring, they brought on some really smart coaches. I think Golden Glue was probably their biggest acquisition in regards to developing players and helping them through these growing pains. He's been there. He's done that. He's done it on the best rosters, right? Cloud9 historically, all that kind of stuff. The thing is, it's not just the players. You got to put the pieces around them to actually succeed. And I think 100 Thieves, in spite of not spending as much cash, has put pieces around them. River's not cheap. Was a perfect addition to help a young budding mid laner that was having some trouble the split before. He played only a couple games. Oh, you're going to pair him up with a dynamic top laner like Sniper? Yeah, River is the guy that you want. You want someone that's going to enable these people. The only criticism I have is for their bot lane, but you cannot spend money everywhere. Right now, they don't look that bad. Tomo and Ayla look pretty good.
How do we know that they're spending money? How do we know that, like, here's the thing. If we said right now that Dignitas and all 5 players on that team right now were accepting league minimum 75K, would you have a problem with it?
I mean, I wouldn't have a problem. I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms of whether I think what players are getting paid and what I know and what's being overpaid. But these players aren't accepting league minimum on Dignitas. Like, some of them aren't, at least. That's for sure. I need those
numbers to be public though before we can.
Okay, that's fair. Like, that's fair. It's speculative
because, like, I don't know, because, like, you're saying that we paid a ton for River. I would assume that we didn't, because we were going full break even budget. I can't imagine we paid all that much for him. We just got lucky because Golden Guardians collapsed at the last minute and everybody else was fine with their agreements and we just didn't want Malrang. So, like, I don't know. Like, that is one where, like, I wish salaries were public so that we can make that judgment, because then we can say, you know,
that's true.
Is Jojo Pugh an MVP caliber if he's getting paid $900,000 a year versus, you know, APA coming in on a baller budget and, you know,
I don't know if I like bringing the price of a player into how they perform, but sure.
No, but it should. Like, that is
part of accountability.
How much you pay. If everybody else on Cloud9 had to take a budget cut to make sure that Jojo Pune could be on the roster, then yeah, Jojo Pune better fucking deliver for that dollar amount. Otherwise, every other person on that team, like, whether we agree with it or not, they're going to be looking at him being like, dude, you're getting paid that much? I had to take a pay cut for this shit? Really?
Aaron Rodgers? You're saying Jojo Pune is Aaron Rodgers? But anyways, back to the original question. Preferably, I think both teams are in a really tough predicament. If you ask me to choose right now, I have to choose. I think I personally have, like, 100 Thieves, I feel has in a totality contributed. And if they plan on contributing to the league scene, I just think they're a better brand as well. Like, just straight up, they are more recognizable. More people. I'm from the Bay Area. I've lived in Southern California. I see people with 100 Thieves merch all the time. Unfortunately, Dignitas just doesn't have that same effect. Nobody is wearing Dig merch, unfortunately. Nobody is proud to be a Dig fan. Do you guys know any Dig fans? Do you guys know?
There was one person with a Dig.
Do you know any Dig content creators that are creating content around Dignitas that is not already like Sylvex?
Well, there's only 2 teams that have a content creator around them, so that's not a very fair argument.
I mean, sure, but there are still an abundance of Cloud9 fans. Team Liquid, I would say Miss Chim Chim's like a Team Liquid stan, right? She loves Team Liquid. She goes for Team Liquid all the time.
Yeah, but
tell me, where's the energy for Dignitas?
No, I will say this. She should be. I agree, but I will say this.
Yeah.
I heard this, and I don't know how true this is, but apparently that when Dignitas got rid of their whole roster and picked up 4 new players and got rid of their coach and brought in Treats, it wasn't necessarily as much as a push to Worlds as, hey, let's get some popular players because we're going to invest in our brand because next year we might not be here. So we want to, be a little bit more fan centric.
What? That doesn't make sense though, in my mind. Like, I think okay, here's the thing. That makes sense to me if you are staying. Because then you use this 1 year to levy yourself to get some brand recognition so people recognize Dig, so that next year, whenever you bring in some players that might not be as big a name, you at least have a starting point that's a little bit elevated from where you were. That would make sense. If you're going out, why would you spend money to go
They're
out?
trying to not go out. That's what I'm saying. They don't want to go out.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they don't want
I
to go
thought you
out.
meant
So
like they're spending that to
no,
like
no, no, no.
on the way out.
No. They're spending it so that they have a place to stay, basically.
Goodwill
Like,
with
hey,
fans.
you don't have a fan
Yeah,
base.
you pick up Licorice, who's been teamless. Sven, who's a killer on camera, right? Literally, probably one of the best personalities in the League of Legends scenes right now. Spica, who is funny on camera, off camera when he's on his own stream, right? And really, the only non quote unquote personalities you have. I mean, even Jensen to an extent has the historical aspect. Like Isles is the only one that doesn't really do a lot. Sure, that's fine, but like, I am one of those individuals that when I look at it, you've got to be able to win as well. Like you can't just not win. I don't think winning as a brand is a good idea, but like you've got to be able to back those results up. You've got to be able to, like, if your players are popular but you're doing shit, like at the end of the day, you're gonna breed like a really, I would say the fan base would be very, very bad, right? I would argue it's like old Cleveland Browns-esque, right? It's like really, really disgusting, right? That kind of fan base when you're breeding like this. Oh, we're bad, but we've got some cool players, right? Like that's how I equivalent until they start winning, until they get a Baker Mayfield-esque run. If we're gonna keep the football stuff going, that's who they need. They need that Baker Mayfield guy, and I don't think Dignitas have it. Maybe it's Sven if they can make it to Worlds and they get a lot of popularity. If you're talking single split, yeah, sure, maybe I'd want Dignitas, but I think 100 Thieves have just contributed more and have done more and have shown that they're willing to do what they can with what they have more frequently. Like that's my thing.
Sven isn't on Dig next split.
Oh, $1 million. I take 100%. He's not gonna be.
I'd take that bet any day. I sell my house, bro.
Here's the thing I would love to know more than anything else. We knew whenever Golden Guardians and EG left that every team was given the option to leave if they wanted to. Luckily, 8 teams stayed and only those 2 took the buyout, but everybody was given the option to leave. I want to know if everybody's going to be given the option this time. I want to know, like, somebody better reveal the politics of how this happened. Was this a scenario where you had multiple teams that wanted to leave, but Riot only let 2 out of their agreements and only paid out 2? Or is this a scenario where only 2 teams wanted to leave? Because in my mind, the rumors that we've been hearing have been Dig, Immortals, 100 Thieves might want out. Okay? But does everybody want out and only a certain amount of people were let out the door? Or did only 2 people willingly walk out? That's what I'm going to be curious to see. Because that will show me for Dig whether they actually were ponying up in a wholehearted and honest way to try and build a brand, or whether it was all fake and they would have taken the money if they could have.
I'm not gonna talk about what happened last split, but from what Travis just said on Hotline League the other day, is that apparently, and I don't know how this works, but this is what he said, that the contracts are up for renegotiation.
Yeah.
So the team participation agreements from the original franchising agreements in 2018 are up this year. So they get renewed after a certain period of time. Now, I don't know the terms behind that in terms of what is guaranteed if they can't reach negotiations, if there's like an extended phase where like it's like a franchise tag in a way for like a player's like they will still get their spot in the league even if we can't agree to terms. But this is the year where everything is up for renegotiation.
Team talk aside, we are hitting that hour and a half point. So despite everything that we may or may not know, speculation, what's happening with the teams, David, I've given you some time to cool off about 100 Thieves. I'm gonna throw it your way. Why 100 Thieves? Why should we support this team? Why should we want them to make it to the playoffs? Why should we want them to beat Shopify Rebellion? What do you see in this team that can make it to Worlds, that can do some damage? What do you see in this team? Why 100 Thieves?
I'm not going to make the argument of whether we will or won't. I'm just going to make the argument of why you should want to. Because half of this roster, at minimum, is the next generation of talent in this league, whereas Shopify is not. While Insanity is still younger in terms of his tenure in the league, Fake God, me and Cloud can definitely agree. Like, it's
Insanity has been playing since Fake God. He's been playing for a while.
Okay, well, I'm trying to give Insanity more credit than there is, but
He's
like,
been playing for a while.
The truth is, like, this is a core top side, at least, between Sniper, River, and Quid. River obviously being the veteran of the two, but Sniper and Quid being the young guns. Tomo arguably being young himself, even if he's had a few more chances. These are players that you want to see become the face of the league. And having good showings early is going to be important for them building their brand. And in a moment like this, where they have the chance to at least get to playoffs, get a little bit more best of 5 experience, get their feet underneath them as they potentially have to find new teams next year, or if 100 Thieves is still here and 100 Thieves builds around them, fine, whatever the pathway going forward is. These are two players that you can realistically see hoisting a trophy at one point in time in the future. Whereas for Shopify, other than B-Boy, I don't quite get the feeling that there's anybody on this roster that will ever lift a trophy. And I'd rather get the team that has potential to get there, or at least players with the potential to get there, more experience.
That's funny. The question was, why 100 Thieves?
Yeah, that's why.
Okay.
Why not
Okay.
Shopify?
Okay.
No,
Cloud.
100 Thieves, because you have young players that you want to see develop. That's the
Cloud.
No, but the idea is there are more than just Shopify in the league. There are 8 teams. Why 100 out of the 8?
Well, let's see. What other team has that future young guns like they do? FlyQuest does. People want to see FlyQuest continue to play so that Busio and Masu can continue to develop. TL has APA and Yawn, which is good. You look at Cloud9, a little bit different. You got Thanatos. He's really the only like young gun of the group at this point. But Dig, nobody really kind of is going to view them that way. NRG, not so much. NRG's run their chance. Immortals, definitely not. We're the only team besides TL and FlyQuest that have that aspect to us. And that's why people got so excited in spring. That's why that narrative was there of like excitement around 100 Thieves building. It's like, okay, we're seeing glimpses of it. Where can this go? And it's like, you want to see those glimpses return.
It's hard. It's hard not to invest in the young roster. It's hard not to get excited about the young guns. But Cloud, I want to ask you, why Shopify Rebellion? Why should we want this team to beat 100 Thieves? Why should we want them to make it to the playoffs? What do you see in them that a lot of people don't? What do you see in this team? Why should we believe in Shopify Rebellion? Why should we want them to make it to Worlds even?
Well, I feel like I'm being asked a different question than what David was. David was like, why should you be a 100 Thieves fan? And this is, why should you think...
David pivoted.
We're going to make it to playoffs.
I pivoted slightly.
David pivoted in a good way. I don't mind. You can pivot that way too. It's an open-ended question, hence with a why.
I'll answer both. We play better in this meta. And so if you're looking at it from just like the meta perspective, we play better in this meta. We disagreed about jungler, who's the better jungler, who's the better mid jungler, our top lane, all that stuff. But in reality, we're playing the map a little bit better right now with Boogie's shot calling, and we fit the meta better. So I think it's not far-fetched to say that we're gonna win and make it to playoffs. Now, why should you be a Shopify fan? Well, because out of all the teams in the league, Shopify is unique in which we are a marketing arm of Shopify. Right? All these other organizations, they come into the league and they have to worry about their budget, they have to worry about sponsors, they have to worry about a lot of things. What is Shopify main worry? What is the main thing we care about? Is like fandom. We're here to build fandom, right? Because at the end of the day, what we really care about is that you know who Shopify are, right? We don't have sponsors that we have to make a 53-second video that can't be a short. It has to be a video because our sponsorship agreement. We don't have to do that, right? All right. So at the end of the day, what we care about, what we came in is we came in as a team to build fandom. And while I have publicly and privately disagreed with the way Shopify did it, I thought they should have went ham that first year because that's when everyone's going to be watching you, right? And we had a great start. They were like, hey, we don't have the places yet. We don't have the structure left in LA, since LA is, we don't even have a studio. All our stuff is in Canada. We don't have enough. We're going to slowly build a team and we're going to invest in it over the years because we're here for the long run. I disagreed with that. But again, if you want to be a fan, right, and you want to be catered to, and you want a team that cares about fandom first and foremost, then Shopify's the place to be.
I can't even fight that. I would say check back with me in 4 weeks on whether I disagree or not.
Check back. You better watch out, David. They just signed Shang-Chi, bro. He's going to get on your ass. You better watch out. They just, I like how, by the way, everybody was hype about it, and then like nobody's talked about it. Like I haven't seen any content around it. I don't know what, like the signing's cool.
The thing is, I don't think you expect that to be like when you sign somebody like that. For me, at least, that's like if you can get him to show up for 2 watch parties a year and like play into like the Canada portion of it, I think that's enough. And obviously, I don't know. I think he streams on his own, doesn't he?
Get him on a show match. Get him on a show match, and Shopify have done their job with the signing.
He's a Valorant player though, so like
I was gonna say Val has a lot of plans with him.
When it comes to leagues, like involvement with him, we are not going to personally feel that. That doesn't mean that it's not being felt elsewhere. So that's the thing I would caution league fans is like don't discourage this signing depending on how much it was worth. I don't know how much they paid him, but like don't discourage it just because you don't see it on the league front. It could be having a ton of value elsewhere, and just him showing up to one single watch party for Shopify wearing a Shopify shirt will be enough to make it worth it, in my opinion.
I think the other thing that you mentioned is that he is meant to make Canada and make Shopify like the Canadian team. And so you sign a Canadian, gamer who's happens to be a, actor, or the other way around. And you just, there's a specific direction. It's not necessarily league related. So like what David was saying, it might not be league, but at least people in Toronto and Canada, they'll feel it.
We'll be able to judge it in 2 or 3 years and say whether it was actually effective or not. Like in theory, everything is great in life, but in practicality, it could be different. So we don't know. It's way too early to pass judgment on this signing. It's as simple as that.
Fair enough. I think both of you guys, compelling arguments, a lot of yelling, exactly what I expected, exactly what I wanted from both of you when it came to hyping this 100 Thieves and Shopify Rebellion match here. And David's pulling out. He removed it from the trash.
I'll have an olive branch. You can stay here for now until we beat you, and then you can finally publicly admit that we are better in the meta, which has been your whole crux of the argument the entire time. But when you lose 0-2, you name the terms.
Ooh.
All right. Do we want to do win-loss, or do we want to do Shopify 2-0 or versus anything? Win-loss. All right. Any suggestions for what we should do for the bet, Shibby?
I do not want you guys to shave either of your heads. Don't do it.
That's not happening. I'm already losing my hair.
Don't do it. I can't look. I got balding in my jeans. Don't do it. It's not gonna look good. I maybe suggest. How about this? You guys are content creators. Both of you are content creators. So we'll make it. It's a pretty simple bet, but the losing team, the losing individual, has to. And I'm gonna put you to a challenge. You have to make, and I'm gonna make it a little easy. You have to make a 10-minute video, absolutely glazing the other team throughout the whole. So you have to make a 10-minute video. So if Shopify win, David, you've got to make a 10-minute video glazing Shopify Rebellion.
I'll be honest. I don't think that plays well into either of our YouTube algorithms.
Never mind.
I don't want to tank that, but I got one along those lines that you made me think of.
Okay, David, hit it with me. That's true. I gotta work the algorithms. That is true. I gotta work the algorithms.
Loser has to do the Deadpool and Wolverine bye dance.
Oh,
have it publicly posted in 40. Oh, you better learn, motherfucker.
Twitter. Post it on Twitter. Doesn't gotta be YouTube. It's gotta be posted on Twitter though. That way.
It has to be posted on Twitter, and for you, YouTube Shorts. For me, TikTok.
Fair.
That way,
I like that.
It embarrasses us. You have to at least try it. You have 48 hours after the time of the loss that you have to learn the dance and post it, no matter how good or bad it gets. You have to post it.
You gotta do it.
What the hell?
I like it. I like it. That's a good one. I like that. I like that. Okay. So the loser of this bet, you shake on it here, shake on it, do a virtual shake. I don't know. Both
Oh
of
my
you.
God, this is
I'm already
hilarious.
halfway through practicing this dance. So
There you go.
All
There you
calm
go.
down.
Fair enough. Okay. Well,
Wait,
we went a
let me
little bit
see if
over
I can
time.
do the one.
An hour and 18 minutes of streaming here. I enjoyed having you both on. We might reconvene after the series, maybe next week, to just talk about the series, talk some shit. Like I said, it's supposed to be a one-off. I went crazy with the branding. I had a little bit too much fun, too much time on my hands. I enjoyed both your guys' time. If you guys are looking for a VOD or an upload later on, that will be uploaded on both David and Cloud Sidkey's channel. They have the option to upload it on their channels. They might make shorts of it, whatever like that. I am doing the live stream on here. The VOD will be saved, obviously, for Twitch. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate everybody that came by. I appreciate all the followers I saw. I couldn't obviously see. I couldn't thank you guys, but I thank everybody that hit the follow button. We hit the follower goal, which was mine. I would do a live cooking stream, so that was cool. Appreciate it. David, thank you so much. Cloud Siggy, thank you so much. I look forward to all your content in the future, the interviews, the rendezvous, the pit, all the stuff. You guys are doing fantastic work in the scene, and it's a big reason as to why I wanted you both on. Thank you so much.
thank you for having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
Bye-bye.
The reason I call this the fast approaching death of 100 Thieves is because they're going down. They're not beating us. They're not making playoffs. And then they're leaving the league. Enough said. Hit that subscribe button, though.